everyone, and welcome to the Danger Yu-Gi-Oh channel. I'm Danger, and today we're going to be talking to you guys during another episode of Forgotten Tech Cards. So in today's episode, we're going to be discussing counter traps. Once the backbone of many people's decks, counter traps performed one of the most needed actions in the game: negation of some form or another. At one point, the game was slow enough where things like these counter traps were actually very good choices to add to your deck. So today we're going to start off by classing them into three categories: monster negation, spell negation, and trap negation. Each one of these has a small subcategory, but only one of them will be reviewed today. So we're going to start off with trap negation. At one point, 7 Tools of the Bandit was played in just about everyone's deck. That was due to the fact that trap cards activated during the battle phase very commonly. Things like Mirror Force, Sekretsu Armor, and Draining Shield appeared everywhere in people's decks. During this time, many of these decks played a high volatile amount of trap cards. 7 Tools of the Bandit was there for you. This counter trap reads: pay 1,000 life points to negate the activation of a trap card and destroy it. Originally debuting in Starter Deck Joey, this trap card allowed you to negate any trap card at the cost of 1,000 life points. At the time, that wasn't a very big cost. Nowadays, though, it is a little bit bigger of a cost, as decks seem to take life points out of you a lot more consistently and a lot faster. But during the Dual Monsters and early GX era, this card was a safe bet to add to any of your decks. Next, we have spell card negation. This time in the form of Magic Drain. Now, Magic Drain is a counter trap card that reads: negate the activation of an opponent's spell card and destroy it. Your opponent can discard one spell card to negate this card's activation and effect. Now, Magic Drain is one of those cards that, while being a counter trap, doesn't need a counter trap to be negated. As well, it saw a lot of play during the early early GX era and late Dual Monsters era, as it came out in Pharaoh's Servant. Its ability to stop any spell card was very big at the time. As well, your opponent could stop it by discarding a spell card, meaning they had to give up one of their major resources in order to stop you. Now we come to spell cards. Now we come to monster negation. And we're going to first dive into the subclass of attack negation. So, negate attack is a standard type of trap card that negates attacks. Of course, right? This card reads: when your opponent attacks with a monster, negate the attack and make your opponent's battle phase end. I have here an original print version, though it is not a first ed. This was originally a video game promo. I'm not sure what game it was from, though. Newer versions read: when your opponent's monster declares an attack, negate the attack and end the battle phase. But for many years, this card was a very good choice to add to your deck, as it could give you another turn. While not as good as something like Mirror Force, which destroyed all their attacking position monsters, this card still gave you another turn and possibly the ability to steal their monsters straight from them with things such as Snatch Steal and Creature Swap. Now, negate attack saw play up into the end of the 5Ds era in some non-meta but rogue decks. Finally, we come to just standard monster effect negation. And first up, we have Divine Wrath. Divine Wrath is a counter trap that reads, discard one card from your hand, negate the activation and the effect of an effect monster, and destroy the monster. Now, Divine Wrath serves a very important purpose, as it is able to negate any monster effect. And, due to rulings that we have found, you can negate monster effects activated in the graveyard, as apparently you can destroy things in the graveyard. While not a viable out to hand traps, it is to be noted that this card can be played against them. And then finally, we have Horn of Heaven, one of a long line of summon negation cards, along the lines of Solemn Judgment and Solemn Warning. Now, Horn of Heaven is a counter trap that reads, tribute one monster from your side of the field, negate the normal summon, flip summon, or special summon of a monster, and destroy it. This card was not actually used until Heretics came out, or Heretics if you prefer. That was a deck of dragon monsters that loved to be tributed, as when they were tributed, they got their effects off. Horn of Heaven allowed you to not only negate the summon of an opponent's monster, but then activate your Heretic effect, get a bunch of monsters to the field, and probably win you the game. Things like this were very powerful during that era, as things like Enemy Controller also saw an increase of play during the run of that deck. Now, Horn of Heaven actually got an upgrade, and that is Grand Horn of Heaven, where instead of tributing a monster, you're discarding a card. But it still basically does the same thing. So it's nice to note that there are upgrades to some of these cards. As well, though, there is other cards in each of these cards' classes that we have not discussed in this video that we may take a step 2 on if you want us to. But, as always though, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and this is the Danger Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel. I'm Danger, we hope you enjoyed this video, and this is the Danger Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel, signing off.